Okay, y'all, we back again for the fourth leg of this series. Um, well, anyway, let's go ahead and pray before we get started. Yahuwah, we come before you, as always, asking for mercy, Father, asking for forgiveness for our wrongdoings, breaking of your Hokim and Mishpatim, and your testimony. We thank you, Yahuwah, for everything comes from you. We thank you, Yahuwah, because you are our creator. We thank you, Yahuwah, because you are our provider. We thank you, Yahuwah, because you are our protector. We thank you, Yahuwah, because you are kind and merciful, and we know everything comes from you. So, Father, as we get ready to start this lesson, we just ask that you open the eyes and the ears so that we can receive this message. We thank you, Yahuwah, also for your ultimate love gift, Yahushua HaMashiach. In Yahushua's name we pray. Hallelujah. Okay, let's go ahead and get right to this thing. Let's see. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do as we always do. All right, let's see. All right. This part of the Hokim and Mishpatim will be the Son of Stone presents What is Torah? All right. Of course, we always have Little King up here, as usual. Ten Commandments, which are our marriage vows, or what they call the law of Moses that they keep trying to do away with. And the Sabbath is a sign of marriage. Really, how you got to look at the Sabbath. We're going to get to that. You just got a lot of things we got to get to, y'all. So, but life goes on. But so it's just a lot of things happening. I'm trying to get this series over as fast as possible for y'all. I know some of y'all want to go to other things, but it's necessary that we take this step by step because all of us are not as far advanced in this thing as others. So, and again, you have to remember this is a class for beginners, people that just that want to know more information that's still in these Sunday churches and all this type of stuff that want to find out things. So those that are a little bit more advanced, just be patient. We will get through this series, but we have a lot of information. All right. But again, so the sign of our marriage is the Sabbath day. That's why this is very important. So that's like our marriage ring, and the 10 Commandments or the 10 words or the 10 laws is our marriage vows. You notice I said the 10 laws, right? So when we keep coming across the laws of Yahuwah, that's what the laws are. They're the 10 Commandments. We're going to show you that. All right, let's keep moving. The Torah, it's just a love story. We're going to break this down in a different way this time. We want y'all to understand that. It's a love story. This is what this whole book is about. It's about a love story between Elohim and a nation. Right? That's what this whole thing is about, and about the disobedience to this covenant or the marriage agreement. That's what all this is all about. All this drama that's going on, everything else in our lives, because we would not return back to these vows. We got scholars, and it's just, and they want to keep putting all these different thoughts in your head and talking to you about how we can stop this adversity and move forward. And still, same thing is still happening, and the earth is steady being devoured, right? Psalms 92, 12 through 15. The righteous flourish like a palm tree and grow like a cedar in Lebanon. They are planted in the house of Yahuwah. They flourish in the courts of our Elohim. They still bear fruit in old age. They are ever full of sap and green, to declare that Yahuwah is upright He is my rock, and there is no unrighteousness in him. We have to understand that. Now, of course, again, the Father wants an earthly family. This is how this all started out. We've showed you this a few times, right? Because if I go around this circle from the Bayet, Aleph, Resh, Shin, Yod, and the Tav, it just spells Bereshit, which means Genesis or in the beginning. So that's what it was from the very beginning. Bereshit, Genesis, in the beginning, right? We have the Bayet here. This is a house. The prince that is in the house is the Yod, the strong arm of Ab Yahuwah. And we also have the breath of Yahuwah, who is the Ruach, or some call the Ruach, the set apart one, or the Ruach, the HaKodesh, right? Because that's really how it should be. But there really is no such name as Ruach HaKodesh. I don't know where they came up with this at, but the Ruach is Kodesh. It is the set apart one. But the Son is the set apart one as well. And the Father is HaKodesh. He is a Ruach HaKodesh. So all our Ruach HaKodesh, all three of them, and they are Echad. If you don't understand what this word means, then I need you to go back to the very first lesson, the very first series that was up here on the name of the Father. Bereshit, in the beginning, right? So we have the Father, the breath, and the Resh, right? And then in here is also is the Elohim, which are the messengers, right? All right, so all of them are in the house, and the messengers are in the house, right? So we know that we can find the word Brit, which equals covenant in the Bereshit. We're going to show you that, and we're also going to see Reshit in the word Bereshit. Equals the first and the beginning. So this was from the very beginning. Now, Torah equals wisdom equals the tree of life. Ab Yahuwah, breath, Yod, who is the Resh, the prince, right? All in the house, Elohim and his messengers. All of these are the Elohim that's in the Father's house. So what he's saying is, let's go to Proverbs 2:1. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide, which means guard my commandments with thee. Right? Because his commandments are the things that are his words. See, his commandments are his words, or the commandments are his testimony. Proverbs 2:2. So keep this in mind, my words. When you see that, you always should think about his commandments or the laws, because each one of those 10 sayings is a law. So that thou incline thy ear unto wisdom and apply thy heart to understanding. These are the things that we seem to be lacking, right? As people right now that are his bride that don't understand that they're his bride, right? Proverbs 3:1, my son, forget not my commandments, forget not my instruction, forget not my words, but let thine heart, mind, right? Which is your heart, which is your mind, keep my words, keep my commandments. At Proverbs 3:13, happy is the man that findeth wisdom, the man that getteth understanding, right? He just keeps going over this, understanding. He's trying to get you to understand what they're trying to take away from you is what they call the law of Moses. But that's what you need for this salvation. Proverbs 3:18, she, who is the breath, or wisdom is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. And this is, you have to keep his words if you want to retain her. You have to keep his words or receive his words if you even want to get to meet her. You have to retain or keep his words if you want wisdom, right? To guide you in your life. If you want to keep her once you have her, you have to do these things. And again, this is the thing that they keep telling you don't need. So Torah, right? The word ruach or ruach, the word wisdom, hakama, right? All these and the final letters are AH, which equals a feminine noun, or it shows you that it has a feminine character. So this is why when we go to these other books, because we are going to finish I'm probably going to put it up there sometimes, maybe Saturday night, the second leg of the Ruach HaKodesh, or the Ruach, the HaKodesh. We're going to put that up there. But again, it's steady saying she, because that's why we use she. It's because of the fact it's a feminine spirit. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 3. What we got to try to see if we can understand. Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 19. And it says, and Yahuwah by wisdom has founded the earth. By understanding has established the heavens. See, by his knowledge, the depths are broken up and the clouds drop down to the dew. So again, we're going to show you how all of them have wisdom. We're going to show you how all of them, again, Icad. I mean, it's all over this book. Torah equals wisdom, right? And wisdom created the world. We just showed you that. Proverbs 3 and 19, right? But how we get to wisdom? See, we gotta put this light in our hands, this true light, which is the word, which is the commandments, which is his testimony, because this whole book is his testimony. Mashiach is wisdom also. He's also a tree of life, right? And he is the living Torah and was the living Torah when he came on this earth and walked amongst men, all right? So again, we're going to see that the Ruach is the tree of life, right? But so is the Mashiach, the tree of life. And he is the tree of life that was in the garden as well, right? Now, 1 Corinthians. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 1 and 24. 1 Corinthians 1 and 24. But unto them which are called both Jew and Greek, Christ, the power of Elohim and the wisdom of Yahuwah, right? Right? And then we're going to get into this because of the foolishness of men. We're going to show you some stuff, because see, that's the problem. The foolishness of men is just, they feel like they can work this out with workshops and, you know, with these talks and getting on TV. It's not going to change a thing. And that's what this whole series is about. Uh-oh. Let's go to Colossians now, chapter 1, verse 15 through 16. Who is the image of the invisible Elohim, the firstborn of every creature, right? For by him were all things created that are in the Shamayim and that are in the Eret, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or power, all things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. So, man, that's plain to see. That's plain. That's why, again, he was the tree of life, right? And again, the Ruach is a tree of life, right? And this is why he was a living Torah when he was walking amongst his people. Let's go to Psalms chapter 33. I'm going to try to make this a quick hit if I can, but just a lot of information. Y'all know I always try to give y'all a lot of information. 33, 9. And it says, by the word of Yahuwah were the heavens made, and all the host of them by the breath of his mouth. See? All of them, all of that is right there, all together. What we just got done looking at. See? Let's go back and look at that. What we just got done looking at. We see all these elements. The word of Yahuwah were the heavens made, and all the host of them, right? Who's the host of them? Is the Elohim. And all the hosts of them by the breath of his mouth, right, which is the Ruach that sits by his throne. We're going to show you that. He gathered the waters of the sea together, and as in a heap, he layeth up the depths of the storehouses. So, again, we see all of these elements in there. The messengers, right, the breath, the Yod, who is the Resh, right, the tree of life, and these commandments. So, it's all here, y'all. Come on now. Do right. Let's get back to where we was at. So, verse 9, for he spake and it was done. He commanded and it stood fast, right? So, I mean, it's all there. And let's see. So, all right, we got all these elements. Let's go to this next thing. Hold on, come on now. Let's do that. Let's get that out of here. All right. Let's keep rolling. Right, Torah was before the world, right? The wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 4, give me wisdom that sitteth by the throne and reject me not from among thy children. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 4, right? So this is it, wisdom that sits by his throne. It's the breath, right? Also, you have the Ruach that sits by his throne, right? On his right hand, that's his right hand man. That's where that comes from, right? So they all there. What Torah is all about. It's not just all about a bunch of commandments. There's so much stuff in this word, man. You can just come up with and have lessons off, man, for years. Proverbs 8:22 through 23. It says, Yahuwah possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, wherever the earth was. This is the Ruach telling you that. So, I mean, she was right there too, right? A lot of people try to take that and make it like he has a wife. I'm not telling you that, right? Because I can't find any scripture to prove that. But I know that this spirit is a powerful spirit. You talk against this spirit, there is no forgiveness for you, period. There is none. And this Ruach sits by his throne as well, as the Mashiach sits by his throne. But let's keep rolling. Every gift and every perfect gift is from above and cometh down from the Father of lights, who is Yahuwah, with whom is no variableness. He don't change. He's not changing his mind. I mean, it's times when he wanted to wipe Israel out and Moshe pleaded with him. But when it comes to his word, it's not going to happen. Neither shadow of turning. Of his own will beget he us with the word of truth. Again, this is how we was born into this thing. How is that so? Because we took an oath, we took a vow of marriage, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. So that's James 1:17. So you got to understand, Israel is the first fruits of his creatures. It's just that simple. I mean, everybody else can come if they want to. And that's what this series is about. And so it's not, again, it's not a racial thing. I'm just telling you what facts are. So that's what we try to deal with, is facts. And I know some people's feelings might get hurt, but it's nothing I can do, because this is part of this. I have to tell Israel what's going on with them. And I have to do that. And that's what I'm going to do. Now, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 21. Nevertheless, when I perceived that I could not otherwise obtain her, except Elohim gave her me. So you cannot get this spirit on your own, right? And that was a point of wisdom also, to know whose gift she was, because it's a gift. It's a gift to help you keep on the path. She was, I prayed until Yahuwah and besought him with my whole heart. And right, so this is what he did. He saw Yahuwah with his whole heart. He kept chasing this thing. He kept studying. He kept trying to walk on the righteous path. Boom. And then he learned about the laws, which are the 10 commandments of Yahuwah. And what did he do? He stayed on them, or she stayed on them. And a gift was given to him to help him stay on it, to warn him, to give him understanding, to give him knowledge, right? To teach him the ways of the Father. Sirach chapter 1 and verse 10, she is with all flesh according to his gift, and he has given her to them that love him. So she's with all men, she's around right now. But the thing is, if you can't have her as a gift unless you love him. You show the Father that you love him by, of course, by now, for those that's been in this class, it's by keeping the commandments, or keeping the words, or keeping his laws, which is Moses' law, right? That's what they call Moses, but this is Moses' law. That's one of the very same elements that you need, along with the Hokim and Mishpatim, right? With that package, you can't go wrong, right? So this is what the Mashiach says, who is the Resh? If you love me, keep my commandments. And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another helper. to be with you forever, even the spirit of truth whom the world cannot receive because it neither sees her nor knows her. You know her, for she dwells with you and shall be in you. So this is the gift. But you cannot get this gift again if you're not keeping these commandments. What commandments? Those 10 commandments, right? And then, again, in the statutes and the judgments, which are the Hokim and Mishpatim, the spirit of the law, the spirit of faith. That's what the spirit of truth is. That's what Paul is talking about when he says the spirit of the law. He's talking about the spirit of truth. Romans 5:18. Therefore, as by the offense of one, judgment came upon all men to condemnation, even so by the righteousness of one, the gift came upon all men into justification of life. I don't know why this thing moved on me, but it's okay. Y'all understand what's going on. See? But the righteousness of one, the gift came upon all men into justification of life. But you cannot have this gift if you don't take this first step. All spirits, all wisdom in any form come from and belong to the Father, Yahuwah. So everything comes from him. Everything was created from him. Everything started from him. But if the spirit of him, Yahuwah, that raised up Yasha from the dead dwell in you. See, it's all this comes from him. He that raised up Yasha from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his spirit that dwelleth in you. So it's the Father's spirit. And that's Romans 8:11. So all things come from him. For some reason, we've been taught, a lot of us, that the Messiah is no, we're not taking nothing away from him, please believe me. No way. Because we know how deadly and we know how powerful he is. But again, y'all, we've been being taught to worship him when we should be worshiping the Father. I don't see, as far as praise or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Again, to me, in my opinion, that goes to the Father. Some people say it's okay to praise Yahshua. Some people say that. But I'll thank him in a minute for what he did. I'll thank him in a minute for his words. I'll thank him for everything that he came and accomplished. But again, all power, all acknowledgement, everything goes back to the Father. Now, let's look at this word Bereshit, right? So we have the word Brit. So if I took the Bayet, the Resh, the Yod, and the Tav, that's where that word comes from, Brit. So in the beginning, we see that there was a covenant that was going to be set up. Reshit, right? I can take the Resh, the Aleph, Shin, Yod, and Tav, the first, the beginning, right? Or the Mashiach is the Reshit as well. We just read that he's the first fruit, and Israel is the first fruit. Let's go to 1 John 1-2. 1 John 1-2. Again, it's just another way of showing this, because this is why this is like people that don't understand what Torah means. This is what Torah means. Is to get all these things out of Torah, right? That which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked upon, and our hands have handled of the word of life. For the life was manifested, and we have seen it, and bear witness, and show unto you that eternal life which was with the Father and was manifested unto us. So this is what the Mashiach did. When he came, he manifested the words of the Father to you, because he was the word that was walking around. He was the tree of life. All these things. This is he came more than just to die on the cross for everybody, as they say. There's a whole lot to that, and we're gonna show you that. We're gonna get there, I promise. 1 Corinthians 15:23. It says, but every man in his own order, Christ, the first fruits, afterward, they that are Christ at his coming. So again, and when he comes, he gonna gather the first fruits. People like to say that we call this the rapture, but we're gonna show you about that too in this little. We're gonna hit that real quick too, right? Jeremiah 2:3. Let's go there. We're gonna show you that. They keep having our mind and keep gonna fly away before all this stuff happening. But the thing that's the trip part about it is the world is dying right in front of your eyes. All this stuff is happening right now. And you ain't, I mean, and people is waiting. Well, I'm gonna try to do this right before he comes, man. Might end up so much stuff going on right now. Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 3, and you ain't, I mean, they got you stuck in a thing. You waiting on, you looking up in the sky. We can show you all, like we showed you in the last thing, how all these last class, how all these other religions come from these men. Men started these things, and they had people standing on top of rocks for days looking up in the sky, you know, and then now they call themselves Seventh-day Adventists, and, you know, different type of Baptists and all this type of stuff. And they still got you sitting around waiting, looking up in the sky. What you looking up in the sky for? There's a whole lot of things got to happen before you start looking up in the sky. Jeremiah 2 and 3. Israel was holiness unto Yahweh, and the first fruits of his increase. All that devour him shall offend. Evil shall come upon them, says Yahweh. So while we being devoured right now by these nations, trust me, he gonna pay back. But I just want to show you that Israel is the first fruit. There is no way around it. And we showed you in other lessons, right? In other series, that they keep trying to make it pretend like this church thing just started in the book of Acts. No, it started way back in Exodus with Israel. That's who it starts with. And that's why Israel is in trouble right now. Again, we're going to got some other proof that we're going to prove to you, show you the differences. Especially when we hit these curses, right? Wisdom is from the beginning. Let's go to Proverbs 8 and 22. Okay. So the Mashiach is from the beginning, the Ruach is from the beginning, and Israel was chosen to be the first fruit. And that's why Israel going through the problems it's going through right now. Because for some reason, they want to be everything else but the fruit. They want to be like the rest of the nation. Can't get in our mind that we cannot be. Cannot be. And they even showing you. The Father using them to show you that because they don't want you around. Just want to keep loving them. Like I'm like that too. I love them that love me. How you show, how do I know that you trying to love me? Because you trying to keep these words, and I got plenty of love for you. Other than that, it is what it is. Proverbs 8, 22 through 23. Yahweh possessed me in the beginning of his way before his works. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning of the earth was, right? When there was no depths, I was brought forth. When there was no fountains abounding with water. Did you see that? When there was no depths, I was brought forth. When there was no fountains abounding with water, before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the deep. So, right? When he gave the sea his decree. See, so again, but we're going to get into that more when we get into talking about the Ruach. Because see, again, you know, this is, it's going to jump back and forth. This is Mashiach and the Ruach, Mashiach and the Ruach. It's going to do that, right? And let's keep rolling. Because see, again, the Father is calling all the shots. So what we got to understand. Let us make man and create a habitation for us to dwell with him. This was the plan. So they created a habitation and they created man. Just a love story, y'all. Right? So we see from the word Kodesh, we have what? The Kuf Dalet and the Sheen, always going from right to left, Kuf Dalet and the Sheen, which means Kodesh, to mean to consecrate, sanctify, prepare, dedicate, be hallowed, be holy, be set apart. So when I was in the holiness churches, we thought we was holy. We thought we was set apart because of the way we dressed. You know, women wore the long skirts, no makeup, you know, all these type of things. Men always had themselves clean cut, haircut, you know, didn't smoke cigarettes, didn't drink, didn't go, all these type of things. But none of us understood what actually did set us apart was what? It was those commandments, those laws, the law of Moses. We will set him apart from the rest of the creation and teach him the Father's will, and he will multiply and teach his children after his kind. The tree of light and darkness, right? Ezekiel chapter 31. It was beautiful in its greatness. Now, this is the Babylonian tree, the tree of good and evil, or the tree of light and darkness. It was beautiful in its greatness, and the length of its limbs, for its roots extended to abundant waters. The cedars in the garden of Yahuwah could not rival it. The cypress could not compare with its branches, nor the plane trees match its boughs. No tree in the garden of Yahuwah could compare with its beauty. I made it beautiful with its many branches, the envy of all the trees in the garden, which were in the garden of Yahuwah. Now this is Hasatan. You go to Ezekiel 31 and look at that. This is the kind of tree he was, because there was a whole lot of spirits running around. Man, that garden things was going on. See? And again, he was made this way. So it's the same type of way we look at it right now. The tree of life was just there, it was the tree of life, right? And you weren't supposed to eat of the fruit. I'm sorry, but the tree of life was just one type of tree. This was another type of tree. You know what I mean? If you dealt with the tree of life, you'd have been straight. We'd have been out no problem. But the tree of good and evil, we weren't supposed to touch this tree. So it's no difference than today. This tree represents Hasatan, which is a mixture of light and darkness. The tree of life is the Mashiach, right? And the Ruach is likened to the tree of life. So these are the two trees that was in the garden, but it was other trees there as well. But out of all the other trees, this was the most attractive. And even to this day, Hasatan comes in the flesh and he attracts our flesh with all kind of things, right? He puts these beautiful things in front of us and in our mind and all this type of stuff. And we let it come into mind, because you don't have to, you can cut that off. But this is what we do. We go to the same tree. The same tree is killing us, right? But it's a Babylonian tree and it's a mixture tree. And we should just stay with what life is, right? That's it. Even with the book, with our Bible, we read this Bible every day. But again, he teaches us to have half of a Bible. So you don't need this no more. Just leave that alone. That's Moses' law. That's the Old Testament. That's done away with. But take this part of the book and just make a whole doctrine out of it. He don't change either. Trust me, the Father don't change. The Ruach and the Mashiach don't change. He don't change. Same type of tricks. He just dress it up in a different package. Right? So what happened? They was banished. Once they went ahead and broke the commandment, they were banished. Right? So evil was king in the earth. Yahuwah was not pleased, because along with the mighty ones that fell into lust, man's heart became evil continually and was filled with violence, and he looked for righteousness and found it in, because right, we see that as even the messengers came, the mighty ones came, they fell into lust with women. So then we had giants that was walking around on the earth, right? And violence filled the earth. But then there was one, he looked for righteousness, and he found it in Genesis 6:9 and verse 22. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with Yahuwah. See, so we see these things here: righteous, blameless, and faithful. Right? Noah did everything just as Yahuwah commanded him. See, as Yahuwah commanded him. This is what we have to keep in mind. Right? Peace between Yahuwah and man did not last long, and sin once again rules the earth. Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. Because what did they do? Nimrod, he tried to get man to rebel against Yahuwah, right? And they was going to build a tower to go up to the heavens and try to kill Yahuwah. This is what happens with sin, man. It blinds your mind, right? But there was peace when Noah was here, but now man goes right back to his fleshly ways, listening to the tree of light and darkness, who is Hasatan, and we know this, right? So righteousness passed down the lineage to Abraham, the friend of Yahuwah. Why was he a friend of Yahuwah? Because he did what he told him to do. He didn't come up with his own way of thinking. Always start the way that was righteous. See, he was full of righteousness, and it passed down. We're going to show you that in other classes. So this is how, again, this is how Noah was able to understand what was going on. Because even though the 10 Commandments have not been given from Sinai, we just got done reading that wisdom is an understanding has always been here. It's just certain men that grabbed hold of this thing and they passed it down to their children. And this is where the covenant came from. We're going to show you that. But the rest of the earth was full of wickedness. We showed you that in the last lesson, right? And some people will call this the Melchizedek order. Call it whatever you want. It's still wisdom that came down. And I'm not saying they're wrong, because I know that to be a fact. But it's still the same wisdom that came down from the house of the Father and from the Bereshit from the very beginning. Isaiah 41:8, but thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Galatians 3:6, even as Abraham believed Yahuwah, and it was counted to him for righteousness. Genesis 17:5, neither shall thy name anymore be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee, right? So his name was changed for Abram, and Hay was added to his name, and now all of a sudden now he's Abraham, right? For a father of many nations he have made him. Abraham was faithful brother. He didn't play. I mean, if it wasn't for him, wouldn't be no covenant. Please believe that. Now, Genesis 12:1-4. Now Yahuwah has said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house into a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation. I will bless thee and make thy name great. Thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee and curse them that curses thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So Abraham departed, and as Yahuwah had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Abraham had to forsake all to set himself apart and submit to Yahuwah. This is what we have to do. We have to leave everything behind and submit to Yahuwah. That's what this brother did. Yahuwah set his love on you and chose you. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 16. Let's look at this thing. Let's see. All right, Ezekiel chapter 16. This is what we got to be able to understand, how this whole thing came apart. It fell apart because it was all together. Again, the word of Yahuwah came to me, Son of man, make known to Jerusalem her abomination, and say, thus says Yahuwah Elohim to Jerusalem, your origin and your birth are of the land of the Canaanites, and your father was an Amorite, and your mother was a Hittite. And as for your birth, on the day you were born, your cord was cut, nor were you washed with water to cleanse you, nor rubbed with salt, nor wrapped in swaddling clothes. No eye pitied you to do any of these things to you out of compassion for you. So nobody else, they saw you broke down like this woman is right here, and they just left you there. And didn't nobody else try to even help you. No eye pitied you to do any of these things to you out of compassion for you, but you were cast out on the open field, for you were hated on the day that you were born. And when I passed by you and saw you wallowing in your blood, I said to you, in your blood, live. And I said to you, in your blood, live. I made you flourish like a plant of the field, and you grew up and became tall and arrived at full adornment. Your breasts were formed and your hair had grown, yet you were naked and bare. When I passed by you again and saw you, behold, you were at the age for love, and I spread the corner of my garment over you and covered your nakedness. I made my vow to you and entered into a covenant with you, declared Yahuwah Elohim, and you became mine. This is what the children of Israel has to understand. Then I bathed you with water and washed off your blood from you and anointed you with oil. I clothed you also with embroidered cloth and shod you with fine leather. I wrapped you in fine linen and covered you with silk, and I adorned you with ornaments and put bracelets on your wrists and a chain on your neck. And I put a ring on your nose and earrings in your ears and a beautiful crown on your head. Thus you were adorned with gold and silver, and your clothing was of fine linen and silk and embroidered cloth. You ate fine flour and honey, and oil. You grew exceedingly beautiful and advanced to royalty. And your renown went forth among the nations because of your beauty, for it was perfect, right? Though the splendor that had bestowed on you declared Yahweh. So here he is, he done took us and we was broke down, thrown in the field and like trash. And he comes along and then sees us in this condition. And what does he do? He tries to bring us out this condition, right? Let's go back one. All right, I mean, we're gonna keep reading this because I want you to understand where we got nature, why we are like we are. Verse 15, but thou didst trust in thine own beauty and played the harlot because of thy renown, and pourest out thy fornications on everyone that passed by. Here's it was. So you was giving it away to everybody that came. They just walked by, you calling them to come into your tent. And of thy garments thou didst take and decadest thy high places with diverse colors. So all the garments he gave you, you set up another little love hatch for you and your lovers that passed by with the clothes that he gave you now. And the light thing shall not come, neither shall it be so. Thou hast also taken thy fine, fair jewels of my gold and my silver, which I had given thee, and made thyself images of men, and didst commit whoredoms with them, and took of thy broidered garments and covered them. And thou hast set mine oil and mine incense before them. My meat also, which I gave thee, fine flour and oil and honey, wherewith I fed thee. Thou hast even set it before them for a sweet savor. And thus it was, says Yahweh Elohim. Because all the food I fed, you was sitting up here broken in misery and just destitute. And I could took you and cleaned you up. And you know, it's a lot of things that come to my mind when I read this, but we just can't go there on this class. But I know what I'm thinking about. It's an old saying. Moreover, thou hast taken thy sons and thy daughters, whom thou hast born unto me, and these have thou sacrificed unto them to be devoured. And this of thy whoredoms a small matter, that thou hast slain my children and delivered them to cause them to pass through the fire for them. And in all thine abominations and thy whoredoms, thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth, when thou wast naked and bare and was polluted in thy blood. And it came to pass after all thy wickedness, woe unto thee, says Yahweh Elohim, that thou hast also built unto thee an eminent place, and hast made thee an high place in every street. Thou hast built thy high place at every head of the way, and hast made thy beauty to be hated, and has opened thy feet to everyone that passed by, and multiplied thy whoredom. And thou hast also committed fornication with the Egyptians, thy neighbors, great of flesh, and has increased thy whoredoms to provoke me to anger. So she was just playing a straight hoe, as we say around here. She just a straight hoe. That's what Israel is, right? Her whoredoms. This is what it is, right? So, I mean, even if we went a little further, I want y'all to read this for yourself. He said most prostitutes get paid for their whoredom, but not Israel. She just like to do it. Just one of these type of females, and that's basically but he made a covenant with us. So when you look at this from a spiritual point, it's like he done made a covenant with us, so he has to keep his covenant. But his love for us is just that strong. Right? He loves us that much. He wants us to turn back, and he knows half of us got this horror spirit in us, and we like doing all these other things. We're not gonna come back to him, but he has an elect amount that he knows that he has, and he wants that he's gonna save them. See, and then anybody that want to come up under that banner, they can come up under that elect banner. This is what this is all about. So it's not just Israel that's going to be, it's going to be whoever wants to make themselves elect by keeping these commandments and filing up under that banner of the elect. We're going to show you this. He even rescued her from a dragon. Ezekiel 29, 3-5. Behold, I am against you, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the great dragon that lies in the midst of the streams, that says, my Nile is mine. I made it for myself. I will put hooks in your jaws and make the flesh of your streams stick to your scales. And I will draw you up out of the midst of the streams with all the fish of your streams that stick to your scales. And I'll cast you out in the wilderness, and all the fish of your streams you shall fall in on the open field and not be brought together or gathered. To the beasts of the earth and to the birds of the heaven I will give you as food. So we know that he did this to Pharaoh, right? And he destroyed Pharaoh and his army out there in the desert. So, I mean, and right, we know this in the wilderness. He went ahead and knocked him off, right, and drowned the other half of them. So this is what's going on. So he even when you see these movies about the prince going rescuing the prince from the dragon, this is where this stuff comes from. And this is what Yahuwah did. Yahuwah Elohim went down there and fought this dragon and saved you, and you still played the whole with her even after. Yahuwah makes covenant with man, and through his seed, he will raise up a great nation, right? All right, the cutting when Abraham was when Abram was supposed to sacrifice Isaac, what happened? He gave him an out. He said, okay, the messenger stopped him from killing the boy, and he gave him a ram in a thicket. Well, the ram's head was caught in the thicket, right? In this type of tree, a thorn tree, or what they call a thicket. All right, the ram represents the Mashiach, and the thicket represents the crown of thorns jammed on his head. This is prophecy, and it's all here. It's real simple. But we have to understand these things. But so it's all this, I mean, again, so, I mean, he made a covenant. So these covenants, he sticks to them. And that's gonna be the next thing I think in this series, we're gonna get into these covenants. Deuteronomy 7:6, for you are a people holy to Yahuwah, your Elohim. The sovereign, your Elohim, has chosen you to be a people for his treasure possession. Out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth, it was not because you were more in number than any other people that Yahuwah set his love on you and chose you, for you were the fewest of all people, right? So this is what we're supposed to be doing, y'all. Because he chose us to be holy and set apart to him. And we were supposed to go out and get the rest of the sons of Adam by our behavior and our obedience, right? All right, but it shall, and this is Deuteronomy 7:6. We're gonna continue at verse 8. But it is because Yahuwah loves you and is keeping the oath that he swore to your fathers, that Yahuwah has brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh of Egypt, king of Egypt. Know therefore that Yahuwah your Elohim is Elohim, the faithful Elohim, who keeps covenant and steadfast love with those who love him and keep his commandments. It's all over this book. Mashiach told you that when he was in the spirit, I mean in the flesh. Here, this is him right here that created everything through the Father or by the Father, telling you that from way back then. It's the same thing. To 1,000 generations, it repays to their faces those who hate him by destroying them. He will not be slack with one who hates him. He will repay him to his face. You shall therefore be careful to do the commandment and the statutes and the rules that I command you, right? You know, I could just say, I mean, it'd be better for you to do the commandment, the testimony, right? And the whole Keem and Mishpatim that I command to you today. And because you listen to these rules and keep and do them, Yahuwah your Elohim will keep with you the covenant and the steadfast love that he swore to your father. He will love you, bless you, and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your ground, your grain and your wine, your oil, the increase of your herds and the young of your flock, in the land that he swore to your fathers to give you. You shall be blessed above all people. I mean, that's the problem. If we can ever get in our head that we are these people in this book, then it's going to be easier for you to understand what's going on. It's going to be easier for you to understand why you have to do these things. All right. I think we're going to hit, because we're going to make these some quick hits if we can. Ezekiel chapter 16, 15 through 18. But you trusted in your beauty and played the whore because of your renown and lavished your horns on any passerby. Your beauty became his. You took some of your garments and made for yourself colorful shrines, and on them played the whore. The like has never been, nor ever shall be. You also took your beautiful jewels of my gold and my silver, which I had given you, made for yourself images of men, and with them played the whore. And you took your embroidered garments to cover them and set my oil and my incense before them, right? All right. So Yah's fury. All right, because again, we see Jerusalem right here, and then here's Israel and Judah. Then he said she passed the whoredoms on to her children. This is what she did. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 3 now. I mean, this is why this is the condition. You done went from beautiful to broke down. So this is why you broke down. Verse 16 through 26. All right. Moreover, Yahuwah says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and want eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore, Yahuwah will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahuwah will discover their secret parts, right? So now you see, I mean, you know, the crown of their head, we're gonna go back down to that a little bit more, right? Because this is why your hair falling out, women. This is why you got to put this weave in your hair. This is why you got to buy these wigs all through the generations, right? Because your hair, you got a problem with that. This is part of his fury for you. It's easy to spot you, Israel. So many ways. This brother tried to tell me, well, man, every place y'all go is Deuteronomy 28, partner. This stuff all over. This whole book is full of this stuff, right? And I mean, we already get to discover your secret parts because we see how you dress out here. It ain't, I mean, anybody can see what's really happening with you. You don't hide it. We see all your secret parts. And that day, Yahuwah would take away thy bravery of thy tinkling ornaments about thy feet and their caws and their round tires like the moon, the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers and the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, all this stuff that we like to have. Oh boy, we like all these type of things. The rings and the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, right? Because we got to be fly every day when we go out all the time, right? All these high-powered clothes and suits that got somebody else's name on, and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses of fine linen, and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink. And instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well-set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girdle of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Thy men shall fall by the sword. We see this every day, every night, by our own hand and by others' hands, and thy might in the war. And her gate shall lament and mourn, and she, being desolate, shall sit upon the ground. And that's why Israel is broke down. And it ain't even finished yet. It's still gonna be more and more because we got some of y'all that's out here that's they done worked hard and studied everything beside this word, and now they living that high life where he gonna snatch you down too. Because before it's over, he said that instead of beauty, they're gonna be, instead of a sweet smell, they're gonna be stench, right? He said, and you're gonna end up desolate and sit upon the ground. That's coming. That's coming. He gonna take all this foolishness, all these material things, and all these things away from us. You know what I mean? Because we ain't broke all the way down yet. That's why we ain't calling on. Because we just, well, that's that brother over there. But I did everything I should have did to get my PhD. We gonna see. We gonna see. So we're gonna stop right here, and we're gonna pick this back up for part 2 of this. The Torah is a love story. All right. So let's go ahead and pray out real quick. Yahuwah, we thank you so much for another day. We thank you for showing us love. We thank you for giving us wisdom. We thank you for giving us understanding. We just ask that you open the eyes of those that want to look at this quick hit, because that's what this is a quick hit. Thank you so much, Father, for all things. Watch over us, protect us, Father, and continue to guide us. In Yahushua's name we pray. Hallelujah. All right, y'all. We out.